So here's another bouting analysis video, and I'm putting this one in because it's got some really nice examples of sort of textbook English sword and buckler technique. So the camera is still getting its autofocus right here, but I've left it in because it's a good example of a cut on a drop step. So what I'm doing is I'm throwing a downright blow, or cut one, while stepping left with the left foot. And against a sword or a buckler or a dagger, this is really useful because it allows you to come on the inside of the companion weapon and strike to the head. Here Ross is trying his favourite thing of thrusting high over the buckler in an attempt to draw it up and then cut low. Now I don't even attempt to parry that. In this case I'm slipping the attack. So I'm just ignoring it, getting back out of distance and cutting over the top. And had he carried through with his attack, I would have taken his arm off or possibly his head. As it was, I managed to just tap him in the sword hand anyway. This is pretty well a textbook defense to a reverse cut. So Ross is attacking with a reverse cut 2 to the side that doesn't have the buckler, which is not a bad idea. And what I'm doing is I'm slipping back, rolling my buckler over to parry the blow while delivering a reverse cut to the outside of Ross's arm where he can't really use his buckler to defend it. Another pretty well textbook sword and buckler technique here. So Ross throws the blow, I parry double. That is, I use the sword supported by the buckler, in this case the spike as well, in order to form a nice firm parry against the blow. That allows me to momentarily bind Ross's sword so he can't really recover it and uncross to an available target. In this case, because he lifts his buckler to protect his head, I go for the leg. McBain says that if you're going to attack the leg at sword and buckler, you use your buckler to cover your head. And that is precisely what Ross does here. Okay, he draws me into delivering a counterattack. He covers his head with his buckler, gets nice and low underneath it, so I don't really have a target to hit, and manages to hit my leg before I slip back out of the way. So what just happened? Well, what happened was I threw a sort of shallow sweep at Ross's leg, basically in the hope of drawing a counterattack, which Ross obliges by doing. And I don't recover and take that with my sword. Instead, I use my buckler. You can't really see it because Ross is in the way, but what I'm doing is rolling my buckler hand into first. That deflects that to the outside, my outside, which allows me to deliver a cut to Ross's outside. Just under the armpit there, and then I redouble to the head just for good measure. In one of our previous videos, I complimented Ross on doing a triple feint where he thrust low, scooped high, and then came low again. And here I am doing the same thing, and you know, this all happened on the same night, so it wasn't like I was aware and analysed what Ross had done. So what's happening is I'm dropping my sword down as if to deliver a thrust under the buckler, but because Ross is inevitably going to drop his buckler down, I'm scooping it up high again. That draws the buckler and the sword up high, and then that gives me access to the low target. This is just that cut on a drop step again. So this is an absolute sword and buckler classic technique. So I'm doing a single time counter thrust with opposition. As Ross throws his blow, I'm parrying it with my buckler by rolling my buckler hand into first, while simultaneously turning my sword hand into fourth, delivering a reverse thrust. In this case it comes between Ross's sword and buckler, because he's left a gap there. He hasn't covered his sword with his sword hand with his buckler, and stabbed him in sort of the neck or face. And because of the way the English buckler is held, it looks a little different to how you do it in 133, but it's exactly the same technique. Let's talk about the use of the inside guard with the sword and buckler. So the inside guard takes the position that the buckler normally covers. So if you're going to use the inside guard, you've got to put your buckler either under or over your sword arm. If you put your buckler over your sword arm, then your only real option for defense is the reverse thrust that we just did in the previous technique. If, however, you put your buckler underneath your sword arm, that gives you the ability to make a reverse cut over the top. So as Ross makes his attack, I'm parrying with the buckler, in this case kind of sweeping it down and aside and making a reverse cut. In this case I'm targeting his buckler arm behind his buckler, which is another classic English target with the sword and buckler. So to finish off with, let's just watch Ross adapt and deceive that technique. So Ross makes a little bit of a feint here. He lifts his sword just a little bit, which makes me expect that low cut underneath my buckler. So I drop my buckler down in order to parry the expected cut. Ross deceives that by disengaging and coming in with a thrust at my belly, while holding his buckler back a little bit so I don't get my reverse cut at his buckler arm, and he gets his buckler in the way of my countercut and manages to land a good solid thrust in my belly.